Xi Jinping has a narrow window of opportunity. Donald Trump has made it clear that he might not come to Taiwan's defense in a conflict with China, leaving Beijing perhaps with an incentive to strike within the next 4 years. Is Taiwan ready for it? Lev Nachman is an assistant professor at National Taiwan University in Taipei. Hello and welcome, Lev.
Thank you very much for having me.
Can we just explain for those who don't know the Taiwan Relations Act? What has been until now the US strategy towards the defense of Taiwan?
The guiding principle for what the United States has been selling Taiwan has not been one of aggression. It's really been more about selling military equipment that can defend so that Taiwan can defend itself. Now, this question is one that often gets sort of entangled in these questions of what we often call strategic ambiguity. So strategic ambiguity often gets misconstrued. A lot of people think that strategic ambiguity is about the United States never really saying specifically whether or not they would or would not. And that's not really the point. The point of strategic ambiguity is more about under what conditions would the United States get involved in a military conflict.
What do we know about Donald Trump's attitudes towards Taiwan from his previous term in office, but also during the campaign and also possibly the statements he's made in the last few weeks?
So if there was one word to just sort of describe it, I would say inconsistency. During his time in office, during his first administration, we saw both signs that he was very friendly to Taiwan and signs that he was very friendly with the PRC. During the last presidential election, people were not nearly as sold on Donald Trump here because of a lot of the language that was coming out on Taiwan from Donald Trump. There was a lot of sort of very harsh language from Trump about how much Taiwan has been spending on defense, and Donald Trump demanding that Taiwan spend 10% of its GDP on defense, which that's not a real number. That's ridiculous. Or the idea that Taiwan stole America's semiconductor manufacturing, which is empirically not true. And a lot of this caused concern in Taiwan, combined with, Trump's continued sort of praise of Xi Jinping.
Where does the semiconductor business deal come in? How does that work? What's been offered?
Most of the deal that we're seeing from TSMC was actually going to happen. It was already in the cards. Argument people are making is that what we saw in the Oval Office with Zelensky was sort of a incentive for TSMC to hurry up its expansion with its deal for the sake of appeasing Donald Trump.
So Xi Jinping has made two things very clear. One is that he would like unification to take place by 2040, I think, and also that the People's Liberation Army should be in a position to be able to take Taiwan militarily, if necessary, by force, by 2027. Is there a sense that this conflict is a potentially very real and imminent?
I think it's certainly potentially very real. I think that's the unknown question that everyone wants to better understand, is whether or not Xi Jinping is going to look at the current Trump administration and say, you know what, if we were to strike now, no one's going to stop us, so let's strike now. Or if they would say, you know what, this is going to play out where the United States' power slowly declines and Europe's power slowly declines, there's no rush.
So, I mean, Lev, what are the different possible scenarios? I mean, people have there are regular war games on both sides. This is the scenarios that are played out. The war games have played out again and again and again. What are the possible scenarios?
There's only really sort of one imperative hypothetical that matters, and that is whether or not the United States is going to get involved in the conflict. Because so much is largely contingent upon the United States' involvement. So research overwhelmingly shows that whether or not people in Taiwan are going to pick up a gun and go fight, or whether or not they feel enthusiastic about Taiwan's odds, is largely dependent on whether or not they think the United States is going to be involved.